I turned my apartment into a cafe for my friends, and here's how it went. This idea was entirely inspired by Nordheimer. I've been seeing their NYC apartment cafes with these crazy themes all over my TikTok, and I really wanted to recreate something like that in my own space. So the way I wanted to do it was I come up with a theme, and my friends bring something according to that theme. It's kind of like potluck style, but more creative freedom. So I'm going to break this down into sections just to better explain the thought process. So on the topic of themes, I think that was the most challenging part for me about this because I wanted it to be something that's like not super straightforward and also not too abstract that it's like really hard to interpret. And I also wanted it to be something that's relatable. At the time that I decided that I wanted to do this, so much was happening in the city, like the Knicks game, parades, pop-ups, new cafes, just so much. I guess that was like the main thing on my mind because it's just like low-key overstimulated with like everything that's happening. Then I realized like, wait, low-key, what if I turn that into the theme? Summer in a 2026 NYC. Guiding questions that I gave with this was, what's an overhyped trend in NYC cafes this summer that you're so tired of but would make the NYC scene feel incomplete without? What's something iconic that happened during this NYC summer that just has to be turned into a dessert? What's an NYC summer treat that actually deserves more hype? So these are just some things to get the thoughts going. I was really excited to see how my friends would interpret this. So the next step was coming up with the drinks menu. I had a small list of lattes and matchas that I usually keep on my at-home drink rotation. So I wanted to keep those, but I did add refreshers to pay homage to the summer aspect of it. The way I ended up designing the menu was I hand added each of the tray lines into the names of the drinks. So if like the drink had the letter A in it, I added the A line, or if the drink had 1 in it, I put the 1 line. So that was a really fun way to integrate the NYC theme, and I was really happy with how it came out. I thought it was really cute. The next thing was getting supplies and decor. So I had gotten some regular cups and lids from Amazon, but I wanted to customize them. So the logo of La Cafe that I had on the menu, I printed that out into stickers with staples. I also for sure wanted to get the iconic brown paper that Ryan also uses. So I got a roll of that from Amazon. I was just gonna use a Sharpie to write out everybody's item. This is such a nice alternative to tablecloth. I don't have to get like separate labels for indicating like what each item is because I could just write on it. So I feel like that's such a smart thing. Like I want to do that more often when I host. I got like cutlery and cups for the item that I was gonna make. And then in terms of decor, I got these giant balloons behind me that I blew up all by myself with my own breath. I had to keep taking breaks to do it, and I had only done 3, and the set came with like 7 or 8. So I will have to host like a New York City themed cafe once more so that I can use them. But very proud of how they came out. I think they're really funny. And then the final thing that I wanted to decide was an activity to do with my friends. Like my friends and I, like we love to yap and we have like such strong opinions on certain things. So I thought it'd be really funny to do a PowerPoint night. Another like super trendy thing, if you don't know what it is, this is basically where you make a slideshow or like a short talk on a topic of your choosing, and you kind of just have to argue your opinion and like why you're right. So I didn't make that one necessarily like New York City themed. That could be a topic of their choosing, but I was really excited to see what they would come up with. So all of this was in motion. I ordered the stuff, I prepared the thing, I like had a vision board in my head of how I wanted to do this. And the day of the cafe finally came. I was so excited. Started off with setting up the space. I actually kept my menu on my iPad. Originally, I wanted to print it out and display it in a nice frame, but one, I didn't have time for that. And 2, I think that it would have been cool to be able to just like zoom in to the menu, and I set up a notepad and pen next to it so as my friends quote unquote place their orders, I can write them down. I actually got this notepad from a market in Boston, and I actually filmed my entire Boston trip and posted it on YouTube. It's my last video if you want to check it out and see for yourself. But yeah, it's like super cute. I love this artist's work. I'm gonna like tag her in the description and also probably like put up her Instagram here. But yeah, I then started laying down the brown paper. I realized that the width of the paper was a lot thinner than I thought it was compared to the size of my table. So I ended up doing a double layer. I taped the bottom layer down onto the table so that it doesn't slip. And then I figured once we start arranging the goodies on there, then it should be fine. I actually ended up making dot cakes for this. This very much fits in with the theme of like what is a dessert that a 2026 summer in New York City is incomplete without. Literally dot cakes, because the lines are still super, super long all the time. So I had actually made the cakes a day before and set them in the fridge overnight with the frosting in between and on top. And then the last thing to do was add the sprinkles because I didn't want the sprinkles to melt and like the color to bleed onto the icing. That's why I saved this for towards the end. And I know you're technically supposed to pour the sprinkles into a plate and then squish the dot cakes on top. I decided to do it this way where like I spread it out by shaking the cup so that I don't get sprinkles everywhere. And I think it still kind of gave the effect. So I set those on the table and it was already looking so good. I was like, whoa, the vision was coming to life. I actually specifically like moved stuff around in my apartment to make sure that this table fit here right by the window in the sun because I wanted it to hit the goodies. Like I had a vision. And then I cleared out the area and started setting up the stuff for the drinks. So the first thing I had to do was add the stickers to my cups and then setting those up on the side. Put up my matcha stuff, my coffee stuff, my refresher stuff. So that whole station was set up and ready to go. I played a little cafe ambiance music in the background, but of course had to start with Keshi. Love Keshi. So that's what was playing in the back right before my friends arrived. And then I lit a candle. I know it was like literally the afternoon. I hosted this at like 11 a.m., 12 p.m. So it was fully candle was not necessary, but I just did it just for the vibes. Soon after, my friends arrived, and it was just so cool to see what everybody brought and how they interpreted the theme. So we had like mango sticky rice, we had butter mochi, we had magnolia pudding, of course, gulab jamun, which is a South Asian dessert. There's a huge like South Asian diaspora in New York City and South Asian immigrant population in New York City. I thought that was like a really cute way to make the theme super personal to you. So it was just a really great spread. And then as my friends settled in, they started placing their orders and I got started on the drinks. I used korii matcha for all of my drinks this day. So this matcha is actually sourced from China and the little bird is meant to represent gentle mornings, calm, soft starts the day. And that really is how my mornings feel like when I start with matcha. Like it's just a nice way to just center myself. So I really like the way this brand markets their matcha. I actually have a collaboration with them, so you can use my code for a discount. And I also have a review of this matcha on my Instagram and my TikTok if you wanted to learn a little bit more about the flavor profile. I actually only made one coffee and one plain refresher. Everything else was matcha. So that was really funny. It was just really fun to just be able to make drinks for my friends, and like making drinks and making food really is my love language. I love sharing that with my friends and family. So it was just so nice to just share this space and this time with my friends. So I'm really grateful, alhamdulillah, that I got the chance to do that. So while we were eating all these yummy treats, drinking all this yummy matcha, we started doing our presentations. They were just so funny and like completely unexpected. We hadn't shared with each other like what we were going to present on. So it was just such a nice, fun surprise. There were some really great opinions, and there were some opinions that I very much disagreed with.
Oh my gosh, bro.
But overall, it was such a lovely, lovely time. And I'm so glad that I was able to host this, that I had the ability to host this, and that I have friends that I can invite and do this with. Alhamdulillah. Yeah, I'm also so glad that I get to share this with you guys now. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video, hearing me yap, and let me know down below how you would have interpreted this theme. What kind of snack or treat would you have brought with this theme in mind? And or what is something that you feel super strongly about that you would present at a PowerPoint night? Thanks for watching, guys. Everybody subscribe, please.